But I feel that's the way our generation feels in general, is that we've been cast aside, that we're the bane of everybody's existence, that we're ruining literally everything in this world. That we wouldn't have the president we have if it wasn't for the millennials. We wouldn't have the drama and the politics that we have if it wasn't for the millennials. We wouldn't have the economy we wouldn't have if it wasn't for the millennials, because they won't get out and work. They won't get out and do this and that. But I know a God that loves us and cares about us, and it's really kind of something earlier that's going to expound a little bit on, if I can get it to pull up here, on what Brother RJ was saying last night. And he was talking about the no's, and the no's, and the no's, and the no's of God. You know, you're not allowed to go drinking. You're not allowed to go smoking and doing drugs and all these other things. And I got to thinking, you know, that's really what religion has been for most of my life, was the no's. And I also remember, though, at times when I was as close as I felt I could be to God, those no's didn't matter, because those no's were coming from my mouth and not from the Bible. Those no's were what I felt in my own personal heart. Those no's were my desires to stay away from those things, because I used to be out in that world. I used to be out doing the drinking, the drugs, the porn, all these things I used to be doing. But I like the way I wrote it down, and maybe it's the way God, it says, your walk with God will determine your desires. And anytime anybody asks me, you know, they talk about this whole, how it's hard to be a Christian, how it's hard to go out and live this life every day, and how it's hard to be faithful. And I go through the same explanation every time, because it's just the same way as if you're dating someone. And the more and more you fall in love with that person, the less you're going to do those things that they don't like. The less you're going to try and sin. The less you're going to do those things, because you're closer with him and your relationship grows and it grows. It's not going to be well, it's really hard not to have that drink. It's really hard not to go back and do these drugs or watch that movie or say those things. Because in the end, my relationship, my walk is closer and closer. And the closer I get to him, the less I want to disappoint him. Not the less I want to disappoint my friends, not the less I want to disappoint that girlfriend, that person in my life that really, for the most part, doesn't matter half as much as it does that I want to please the one and only God. The one and only God that died for me, that has watched me in every sin I've ever done, seen me fail every day for so long, seen me trip and stumble and seen me give up. The same God that I've cursed and yelled and hated and cussed out, because I thought, why would you put me in these situations? Why would you put these things in my life to let me struggle with them? Well, it's the same God that has loved me and cared for me and kept me and protected me through the many times that not only I should have been lost in some sins that I let myself go to, in some situations and scenarios that you even talked about last night, where you said that thank God he kept me and brought me out of those things that I put myself in. And there was a Facebook, our generation always on Facebook, right? So this is a pastor that came here, and he shared it from a friend of his, and it said, I was praying this morning, and I asked God, haven't I exhausted all of your resources? Your love, your grace, and your mercy? And he says, immediately I felt him speak back to me. You've not had enough of it. You've not had enough of his love, his grace, his mercy. So you're going to go through life. You're going to fail. You're going to mess up. You're going to go through the same struggle every now and then. The Jews, the Israelites, they went around that same mountain over and over and over again until they were finally willing to let God take control of it. They gave it up. They let God take that situation, started following him instead of their own will and their own desires. So if you're watching this, if you're here listening, if you feel like God has given up on you, if you feel like God doesn't care anymore, if you feel like that millennial generation, that you're the one ruining everything, that you're the one that's just messed it all up, God's still got love, he's still got grace, and he's still got mercy for you.